decided to try a little bit of design. Hey, guess what? My design's starting to look like a flower. We'll go for that. Anywho, I think that's okay. We can make it a flower if we want to. It'll be whatever flower we want it to be. And I know you agree. I don't have any choice. You don't have any choice. Let me just do a whole bunch of dots. Da, 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 da. Well. I am trying to make this look like a center where all the seeds and pollen and stuff would be. Anywho, it is what it is. I'm always putting my markers in backwards, and then when they don't fit, I wonder why. When we were in our early teens, my sister and I shared a room. It was a good sized room. And excuse me, we each had a nightstand, which was actually half of a dresser or a quarter of a dresser, I don't know. They each had a couple drawers, and so we got to paint them whatever color we wanted, as long as it didn't clash too much. And we got to pick out these rugs. These big flower rugs were a thing back then. We're talking hippie days, you know. Anyway, this marker is so, it's just not cutting it. It's too small. But we got to pick out some little flower rug things to throw around on the floor. And so we picked something similar to this. As far as colors, we went to a school called Valley Heights between Blue Rapids and Waterville, Kansas. And the colors were purple and white. So purple was a big thing in our closets and our bedroom. But we fought constantly. I mean, my sister and I were just too close in age. And just together a lot, so we fought. You know, that's just what sisters do. At least me and my sis. But I had a lot of sisters. I had 3 sisters and 2 brothers. So as you can figure, the girls kind of outnumbered the boys. But so anyway, we got these little flower throws. They just, you could, the only thing you could do with them is just throw them around to decorate. And that's what we did. I mean, I think Mom may have made a couple of them into a pillow or something. I don't remember for sure. But Mom was always making something. I mean, she wasn't only known for her cooking. I mean, her cooking was what was brought up at her funeral. And when when the people that they were asking, when they asked what their favorite was that she made, or what she made best, kind of like, you know, chefs have a signature dish, they just said everything. Mom was she was a good country cook, and she could make flavors that, I mean, she could put one of those stone soup things together and you thought you had a feast. But that's a joke. I don't know if you've ever heard of the story of stone soup. But if you haven't, it's about a bunch of people. At first, I think it started out as just people in a town or something that were starving, maybe through the potato famine, I don't know, in Ireland. But then it's gotten to be hobos, and now I've heard that hos and bows are different things, but we got them put together. Anyway, the whole idea was that nobody had any one thing to make a decent meal. And so somebody threw a stone they had a fire and they had a pot. And somebody put a stone in there and they said, well, let's start with a stone. And it's like, everybody's like, well, what can you don't eat a stone. I'm probably not telling this exactly right, but the gist is there. You can't eat a stone. And then they said, well, go get something to put with it. So somebody brought some potatoes, somebody brought some onions, somebody else just happened to have a few carrots, and somebody may have had a part of a cabbage, you know, just stuff. And by the time they got everything in the big pot of stone soup, the stone pretty much couldn't even be seen anymore. Who would want to? But the stone started it, so it was called stone soup. And Mom could do that. I mean, not that she'd put a stone in, but she could take whatever was in the refrigerator and make a meal out of it. Let's just put it that way. And if she ever made a bad meal, I never heard about it. But she also made a lot of other things. And she was one that didn't mind experimenting a little. And she sewed. Actually, her favorite thing to do was sewing. She liked cooking, but she also liked sewing. And the longer she could sit at her sewing machine, the more, that was her calm place. And believe me, with 6 of us kids, my mom needed a calm place. She put it in the dining room right in front of the window that peeked out to the front yard. Because we were in the country, we had a big front yard, a big backyard, big side yard, everything. I mean, we lived on quite a few acres, and there was a lot more that was used for field. Anyway, field or pasture. I don't know what that came up for, but anyway. Oh, where she put her sewing machine. Because she wanted to be able to keep an eye and an ear out in case something went wrong outside. A lot of times I was watching the younger ones, and that wasn't unusual. I was quite a bit older, because most of the pushback came from my sister, who was just a couple of years younger, and she didn't really think she should have to listen to me. I wasn't Mom, and I wasn't that much older. But I did watch the littler ones a lot. But Mom would make, oh man, she made quilts. She made pants. She made so many clothes. There for a while she was taking in sewing for people in town who wanted, you know, custom made. She made my first wedding dress, and I think my daughter, I hope my daughter has that now, my oldest one. Anyway, that's a thinking out loud I might delete. She made my younger sister's wedding dress. I don't think she made Paula's. Well, all my sisters are younger, but I don't think she made my sister just younger than me. I don't know for sure. But she did make Janet's, and Janet just says, well, I want this way, this that way. So Mom kind of had to figure out a pattern for that one. It turned out beautiful. It did. It turned out gorgeous. But she got, well, once his kids grew up, moved out, she started making quilts, much like the, I'm trying to make Afghans for my kids and grandkids. She did the same, and she made a lot of quilts. And she got to the point where her arthritis in her hands was getting so bad that it was painful for her to tie them. So then we just all, you know, she'd bring them to a Christmas gathering or just call one of us girls to come and help her tie a quilt. Sometimes Dad would help her. After he retired, he just, you know, he did learn to do a lot of cooking himself after he retired. And stuff. There it is. That is it. And it does look a lot like the ones we used to have in our bedroom. Flower power from the 70s. 60s and 70s. I graduated in 1973. I just washed my hair. Let me give you a story about my hair. I'll probably cut it out because I won't have time. But when it starts growing out, I mean, last time I was using mousse and I was getting it all nice and back, it was getting this nice texture like this. But for some reason, it's changed its mind. And it don't want to do that anymore. And I mousse it back, and if I put a comb through it, it's just automatically going to go where it wants. But even if I don't, it ends up like this. So I've got a call into my sister for when she has time, which could be quite a while. So I may look like a mess for a while, or may just put some hats on. We'll see. I love all of you. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday. And that's probably when we will do the Genesis 1, John 1 comparison. The first few verses anyway. Good night.